Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the energy of your team and making sure that you really have the right people surrounding you to be able to support you to get to the next level, but also to be able to create a high-performing team dynamic and more of a self-led team where you don't keep getting pulled down into the day-to-day to make all of the decisions, to approve all the things, to fight all the fires, to solve all the problems. One of the core reasons for building out a team is to get yourself out of the day-to-day. It's to allow yourself to focus on your zone of genius. It's to allow yourself to do the visionary work, the strategy work, the things that you're not only passionate about, but the things that are going to help you move the business forward. It's not to stay stuck in the day-to-day or to spend all of your time managing, course correcting, and fixing things for the team that you have. Yet very often that's what we end up with. Hiring the right people for your team is very much a blend of art and science. In prior episodes, I've shared the structure of the team, the 4 different layers of team and knowing who to hire when. I've shared what to look for in a right-hand person. I've shared about whether your team members are amplifiers or whether they're detractors. Today, I want to approach this from a little bit of a different perspective, which is more, do you have the right energy in your business for success? So here's what I mean by that. There are people that can bring out the absolute best in you and bring out the best in the other members of the team. There are people that raise the excitement level, the commitment level, and there are people who do exactly the opposite. There are people who can kind of suck the joy and the life out of a team, sometimes out of you. And the thing that's really fascinating is a lot of times it has absolutely nothing to do with their level of skill. Certainly, if someone is not doing a good job, if someone is not delivering good quality work, if someone is not reliable, if there's all of those kind of core fundamentals that you look for in someone in a position, if those things aren't in place, that can absolutely be really draining. It could bring down team morale. It could frustrate you. All of those things have a really big impact. But if we assume for a moment that the person has all the right skills, they're capable of doing the job, they might even be really incredibly skilled and very good at doing their job. The thing is, it doesn't stop there, right? Just because somebody is a rock star does not mean that they are your rock star. People fit differently in different team environments, in different business cultures, in different management and leadership styles. So when you're bringing someone onto your team, there's a lot to be considering. It's not just can they do the job. That's table stakes, right? They need to be able to either step in and do the job day one, or they need to have the capability of doing the job, and you're willing to invest in their training, in their development, in their mentorship, whatever it will take for them to be able to actually do the job. That to me is a given, right? You always need to look for that in a person. But what's even more important is alignment. How aligned is that person to that beautiful, big, bold vision that you have for the business? How aligned are they with your company values and your team values? Now, for some businesses, those are one and the same. I find it's actually really valuable to have different values for the overall company, which is kind of your macro set, and then team-based values, which is more of your micro set. So somebody that you hire needs to align with the company values, but they also need to demonstrate the team values, your work style, the things that you value in how people interact and how people work both independently and as a team unit within your business. And certainly your culture. So, what is the vibe of your business? What is the dynamic of your business? What are the norms of your business? What is the style of your leadership if there's someone who's going to work closely with you? Or what's the style of their leader if they're going to work closely with someone else? People can be trained to uplevel their skill. People can put in the time and do the reps to uplevel their experience and their depth of experience and knowledge. But there's nothing you can do about alignment. Alignment either exists or it doesn't. And nothing really throws off your company culture, your team dynamic. Nothing really throws things off, throws the energy off faster than someone who is not aligned. And the thing is, this person might be an incredible human being. They might be incredibly skilled at what they do. They might even be an exceptionally great fit for somebody that you know. Maybe it's a peer who recommended them. Maybe it's a client that they work for and they work for both of you. Maybe it's a coach that they work for or a coach that recommended them. A lot of times as we're hiring people, we tend to hire people referral based. And we end up sometimes hiring people or even overlooking things in people because they came with such a glowing recommendation from someone else. And it's not that that other person wasn't giving an honest recommendation, but the way somebody works and the way somebody fits within one company can be really different than another company because of the culture, because of the styles. There's so many things that influence it. And I've had this happen quite a bit where I've recommended somebody who is a total rock star working for me. But then when one of my clients or one of my peers hires them, it ends up not being a fit. I've also had the reverse happen where I've hired someone that someone really gave a glowing recommendation that worked super well in their business, and they ended up not being a fit for me. And what I find, especially when we hire people through referral in that way, we almost sometimes feel like there's something wrong with us. And as a result, it can be easy to tolerate things for longer than we should. And it's a whole lot easier to tolerate things when the person's actually doing a good job. Most of us don't have tolerance for people who don't do their job. But again, if we assume that the person is really great at what they do, we sometimes overlook or will tolerate other things that are actually bringing down the energy level of not just you, but the entire team as a whole. And in the end, that is so much more expensive from an actual cost perspective, but also from a productivity perspective, from a morale perspective, from all of these different perspectives if you have somebody who's not the right energetic fit. So I want to break down a few things to look for when you're hiring somebody, and also some things to do if you have somebody on your team today that you know is not really a fit. So first things first, of course, when you're interviewing and you're vetting candidates is the skill fit. As we've talked about, you want to know, are they capable of doing the job that you're hiring them for? So assuming they have the skill fit, the next piece of this is the alignment fit. If you listen to the episode that I did on whether somebody is an amplifier or a detractor, you want to ask yourself those questions in the interviewing process. You want to think about, is this person going to amplify or detract from the current team dynamic? Are they going to amplify or detract from the current company culture? And how aligned are their vision and their values with yours? Now, you don't always know this, but sometimes you can pick up on it in an interview. And if you're asking the right questions, and if you're specifically trying to vet this and trying to cull this out, you usually can. So definitely be checking for that and considering that. And actually, I like to imagine the person in the role. I have other team members interview the person because I want other people's perspectives as well, especially if they're going to be working more closely with one another than they are with me. Now, another piece of this is sustainability fit. So skills is obvious, alignment may be obvious as well, but sustainability to me is really important. You don't want someone who's just taking a job, any job. You want someone who is all in on the particular job that you are hiring for. You want someone who wants to be an integrated part of your business. You want someone who believes in you, not just your business, but you. They will embody your vision. They will embody your values. They are so all in and they care. They genuinely care about your business's success and about you as the founder of the business and your success. They care if you're working too much. They care if they make a mistake and it negatively impacts you or the business or the results. That is such an important element. I just had a conversation with someone today on this who had to make a team change, and I've been helping her with hiring and looking at who she's going to bring on next. And she said, one of the things that's so important to me is they have to care about me. They have to be committed to me and to my success, not just to their role. And I thought that was such a beautiful thing that she shared because so often we don't even consider ourselves. Whoever it is that you're hiring, especially if you still have a relatively small team, if you have a team that's less than 10 people, you're going to be working pretty closely with most of those individuals. In some way, shape, or form, those individuals and their behaviors and their actions are going to influence you. Even if you're not meeting with them every day, super regularly, and they're working with other people in the team. In a small team dynamic, everyone influences one another, including you. So you want that person fully all in for the role, fully all in for the business, and fully all in for you. You also want to make sure that the role actually aligns with their zone of genius, their strengths, and their passions. Because if it doesn't, they're going to move on and take a different role. I had someone on my team who was wearing multiple hats. And one of the things that became really obvious was this person did not really want to be doing social media. However, she did a good enough job at it. She was fine to be doing it for a period of time. And I actually invested in bringing someone on for social media before I technically needed to. But I did that really intentionally because I know what her strengths are. I know what her passions are. I know what her zone of genius is. Nothing social media related is that. The longer I had her doing social media things, the less time she was investing in the things that she actually does best, in the things that she enjoys most, the higher the risk is that I'm running that she's going to end up leaving because she's doing something that she doesn't love that much. And she'll go find somewhere else that she can do more of what she loves, stay more in her zone of genius. But also, I think it's just fair. As much as I want my team to be committed to me, I also want to be committed to them. I want to be invested in them as much as they're invested in me and the business's success. I'm invested in their success and their growth and their development. So I made a hiring decision ahead of a time when I needed to, because I wanted to move her into what she really wanted to do. And I wanted to take those things off her plate. And I also knew that because it wasn't her natural strength, her interest, her passion, that I was going to end up getting a different level of capability from someone who that is their passion and that is their zone of genius. Ended up being a win-win all the way around for the business, for her, for me, and then certainly for the other person that we brought into the team. So you want to make sure that your current interviewing and hiring process tests for all these things. You want to be looking at skill, you want to look at alignment, and you want to look at sustainability. And a piece of all of that is, how are they going to impact the energy of the team? When you look at them working with the other members of your team or members of the team that you haven't hired yet, but that you have some certain roles in mind that you're going to be hiring for. When you think about that and you think about how this person is going to fit in, are they going to amplify the energy or are they going to detract from the energy? When you look at how they're going to work with you and how their actions, their personality, their behavior, their attitude, all of those different things, how are they going to impact your energy? Now, if you have somebody on your team right now who you know is negatively affecting the energy of the team and your energy, here's a few things that you can do about it. First things first is, do they have the skill for the job? If they're not somebody that you would rate an A on skill, then in my mind, the best thing that you could do for yourself, for the business, and probably even for them is to let them go. Really, we only want A players on our team. And as we scale further, it becomes more and more critical and more important that the people on our team are A players. We don't have room for B players. We certainly don't have room for C and D players. And so if that person isn't an A player, it's a no-brainer decision. You just need to look at how you can make that transition and what the right thing is to do for them and for your business. Now, if they are an A player, if they do an exceptional job, I think it's worth a conversation with them. And I think it's worth a really honest conversation with them. And when you're giving feedback, when you're sharing something, you always want to give specifics. Don't be general, right? If you say, hey, you kind of bring down the energy of the team, they're going to look at you like, what the blankety blank are you talking about? You want to say, listen, when we come into meetings, here's what I notice. You tend to be a little negative. You tend to be pessimistic. When we're excited and we're celebrating wins and we're talking about all of the incredible things, you have this really bored look on your face frequently, or you will pop in and say, yeah, but what about this? And when you do that, it brings down the morale of the team. People go from being really excited and really positive about things to all of a sudden feeling like their bubble was burst. And again, be as specific as possible, right? When you said this in Tuesday's meeting, I noticed it had this impact on this person, or it had this impact on me. I went from feeling this way to feeling this way. Tell them what it is that you want and what you need. Re-emphasize the culture, re-emphasize the vision, re-emphasize the values. Have an honest conversation with them to see if they may actually be able to come along. Maybe they're more aligned than you think they are. Maybe they don't realize that they're being negative or being pessimistic or bringing things down. Maybe they don't realize that they have these little gestures like rolling their eyes or sighing in a meeting. You might think sometimes that people are doing these things really intentionally, but a lot of times people just have behaviors that they've developed over years and years and don't even recognize that they're doing them. Doesn't mean that they should get a pass. Doesn't mean that it's right. Sometimes raising awareness can be super powerful and somebody can become more self-aware. Recognize that they really do love their role. They really do love the company. They really do want to be a positive contributor. They want to uplift the energy. They don't want to detract from it. And they may have had no idea that their behaviors or the things that they were doing or not doing were impacting that. So I think it starts with a conversation, and sometimes those conversations go surprisingly well. And sometimes those conversations are one of those, you know what, this just simply isn't a fit. But then they're a part of the decision in saying, you know what, it's not a fit, you're right. Or even recognizing on their own it's not a fit. So you're not coming out of nowhere and letting them go. And then finally, sometimes somebody simply does not have self-awareness. They are unwilling to change and they think that they are great exactly as they are. And you will need to make those tough decisions to move on from somebody or to move them out of their role or even move them out of the business. But at the end of the day, your team should be what allows you to get out of the day-to-day. Your team should enable you to not have to constantly put out fires, to not have to work all the time, to not have to make all the decisions, to not have everything dependent on you, to not have to tell people what to do and check things and fix things all the time. You want to be able to elevate your focus to thought leadership work, to your legacy work, to the things that you are most passionate about and that are going to take the business where you want it to go next. And so when you're looking at and evaluating people for skill and for all those things, make sure that you're also considering the energy of the business and your own energy. Because how you feel about what you do is just as important as what you do and the results that you get. And if you'd like any help with this, team is something that we focus on really extensively inside Simplify to Scale. It's one of our core modules. We build out your lean dream team. We uplevel your current team to be that high-performing self-led team. We help you look at and manage and navigate all of the difficult pieces of leading a team. Team can be incredibly fulfilling. It can be incredibly rewarding. It can be incredibly freeing, but it can also be really challenging. It can have a lot of frustrating moments and a lot of how on earth do I handle this situation type of things that come up. And that's what we address together, among other things, inside Simplify to Scale. So if that sounds like support that you would like, if you want my guidance, if you want my feedback, you get 2 calls per month for that. Check it out. It's at leanoutmethod.com/scale. We're currently bringing people in for our March 26th cohort. This is the last time that I'm going to be doing it in its current format. So highly encourage you to check that out if that's of interest. And of course, you can always put time on my calendar at leanoutmethod.com/consult if you have any questions and want to talk about if it seems like the right fit for you right now. I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode. I hope it helps you with your next hires or with evaluating and up-leveling the team that you currently have. I will see you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. If you have not yet taken our scalability assessment, I invite you to head to leanoutmethod.com/assessment and take our interactive assessment that's going to help you look at how simple, how sustainable, and how scalable your business currently is. It includes personalized recommendations of where to focus next to get your time back, to increase your impact, increase your profits, and ultimately step into your rich, fulfilled life. And finally, we'd love to see you inside our signature program, Simplify to Scale. You can head to leanoutmethod.com/ops to find all of the details on how we can help you up-level your operations and get out of the day-to-day of your business.